Nothing that annoys me more than weathered and scuffed trim on this plastic. As you can see in the photos here, it's quite bad in the Saab. So what I want to do is I want to try and rejuvenate it in a way that's more permanent. So I'm taking a heat gun to the bumper. It may seem drastic to you, but in reality, all we're trying to do here is bring the temperature of the panel up to the annealing point, which is quite a bit away from the melt point of this product, which is polypropylene. As you can see in the video, it comes back to a nice liquid, almost colour black, but it's far and away from being melted. And I'm heating up the panel bit by bit. I'm not going as fast as this video, as the video is speeded up. I'm also taking care not to allow the heat gun to hover in one spot, as if it heats too much locally you will get melting or kind of charring or blistering of the plastic. So even though the temperature is quite low, we're trying to keep the gun moving at all times. Black plastic and trim was a feature of cars within the 80s to 90s bracket before they came out with coloured bumpers or colour matching bumpers. And nowadays we're starting to see this kind of black textured look on the trim, in these kind of crossover or the kind of soft SUV type bracket now. So realistically, I think the same issue is going to happen. You're going to get UV damage, so this might help out for people who have those crossover type vehicles like this Octavia Scouts and all-road Audis and things like that are seeing weathering and UV damage happening. I can almost imagine in a few years' time that these bumper and trims on more modern vehicles are going to eventually weather. And if they are thermoplastics, this is a product that can be heated and re-annealed. So thermoplastic can be melted and reset, whereas a thermoset is a plastic or a polymer that once it cures and is in its final form, it can never be remelted again. I think the big question people ask is, why don't you use a bumper gel or a plastic trim rejuvenator? In Ireland, we struggle with a lot of rain, as some of you might be aware, and the main issue here is that after a week or two, your bumper gel gets washed off and you're back to this grey, worn out look. This rejuvenation here with the heat gun brings it to about 90% of the way there. And if you want, you can use some kind of a modern gel which has UV inhibitors. And even though I suppose the aesthetic appearance that the gel brings might be washed away, you would hope that the UV inhibitor stays there almost as a protectant to maintain what you've achieved here with the heat gun. If you look at the top part of the bumper, you can see these kind of almost zones or ripples. Now that's not warped as such, but there are kind of heat zones that are left over when you do this. So allow it to cool a slight bit, and what I do is after I complete a pass of about the size of this corner, I'll come back with a microfiber, not a plush microfiber, something fairly rough. So a household microfiber is actually ideal for this, and I simply give it a kind of a vigorous rub to remove this kind of zone, or it's almost like an oily kind of a look to it, and it's almost like smoothing that kind of a zone out. There's no texture to it, it just seems to smooth it out nicely, and you're left with quite a nice finish. So the only thing you really have to worry about here is how much time you're willing to put in, and you're not going to worry too much about melting the bumper as such, as you're quite a bit away from the melt point of this plastic by the time you get it to anneal. And all you have to do then is sit there with some patience and enjoy the results of what you can see in front of you. I apologise for the robotic tone to my voice, but hopefully this video is something that will serve to help you in rejuvenating your trim.